Hello everyone, I'm FMZ and welcome to episode 40 of League One to Legend with Portsmouth. Today we preview our first season back in the Premier League. We'll go through all the transfers, we'll preview the Premier League season and we'll get set for the new season and take a look at the fixtures we're going to come up against. Don't forget, if you enjoy this content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to click that notification bell to know when a new video goes up on the channel, and also don't forget to leave me a comment if you've got anything to say. Let's get to the transfers, shall we? And we'll start with the outgoings first of all, but we've got to go back to the end of last season to begin those. So Jack Hendry has joined LAFC for a fee rising to £9.25 million. He wasn't very happy about not playing in the Championship last season, so he was allowed to move on. Alex McCarthy wanted to move for the financial benefit as well as for the benefit to his family, so we have a fee rising to 5.75 for him. That's a brilliant bit of business from us, I think. And Bruce Anderson has joined Shrewsbury Town for a fee rising to £81,000. It should also be mentioned we had a few players that were released at the end of their contract. So Ryan Williams has gone, Luke Berry has gone, Ellis Harrison has gone, and Freddie Ladapo has gone as well. He did not want a reduced contract moving into the Premier League. He was only a 2-star striker coming up into this division, so it really wasn't worth keeping him in. So yeah, they have all been allowed to leave. Sad about Ryan Williams. Sad about Ellis Harrison, because obviously they were in the side that got us into the Championship in the first place, and we wish them well in their future endeavours. Now I've had to chuck the infamous transfer blocker back into place. We've spent £36 million so far this summer. That doesn't include the players that we bought in before the summer switched over, and we've recouped so far a total of £8.25 million. But I'll go through the major ones for you. So Matt Penny has joined Brentford in part exchange. Who will that part exchange player be? You'll see shortly. Alex Bass has joined Scunthorpe on loan. Ryan Wintle has joined Brentford for £4.3 million. And Will Volks has gone to PAOK for a fee rising to £5 million. They are the outgoings so far. There are a couple more that we're trying to move on as we get ready for life in the Premier League. Shall we have a look at the incomings? I think we shall. And we start with a player that was picked up from one of the sides relegated from the Championship last season. That was Huddersfield Town. His name, Lewis O'Brien. He has joined us for £5.75 million. That was his release fee after they were relegated. Bit of a no-brainer, really. 3-star player, has the potential to be a 4-star player. Can play that dip line playmaker role and the advanced playmaker. So he does have a varied set of skills, as Lewis O'Brien. 24 years of age, so he kind of meets the board objective of bringing in younger players. I think he'll do all right in the Premier League, but only time will tell, I guess. Speaking of players joining us from League One, and this was Daniel Johnson. This was sorted out in January because there was a chance that he might go to the MLS. His contract was up. Obviously, with English clubs, it's quite difficult to get players who are nearing the end of their contracts because they can talk to other clubs from January, but they can't talk to English ones. Explain that to me and leave that in the comments below if you like as to why that happens. Anyway, 3-star midfield player. Can play on the left-hand side, can play behind the striker. We bought him in for £5.25 million. We probably spent a little bit more than we needed to, given the length of contract he had left. But it's a player that I've coveted for a while. We wanted to try and sort it out last summer. It didn't quite work out financially because they wanted a lot more money last summer, Preston North End. So again, it's another player that I think can make the step up to the Premier League. But again, only time will tell. And I must have been a bit psychic about this one because we bought an under-23 player without actually knowing that was going to be a board objective for the coming season. So Taylor Richards has arrived from Brighton for a fee of £1.2 million. Has the potential to be a 4-star player. Another central midfield player. We're having a bit of a shake-up in that department at the moment. Again, it's a player that he can play in the Premier League. Will he be a success? Again, only time will tell. Moving on to our next acquisition, and I think this one is going to be a success. George Edmondson has joined us from Rangers for a fee of £10.25 million. This is Jack Hendry's replacement. 3.5-star defender. The potential to be a 4-star defender. Pace of 17 was the key standout attribute for me. Heading of 15 as well, marking of 14. He's only going to get better. And for the money that we paid, it was a bit of a gamble, taking him from Rangers and moving him into the Premier League. But I'm hoping, and I really think, this one's probably going to work. Now we move on to the players that were acquired once the summer transfer window had opened. And we started with Alessandro Malamo. He has joined us from Spal on a free transfer. 3.5-star midfield player. Can play in the attacking role, but will most predominantly probably play in centre midfield. 4-star potential. I think his rating was about 86 when we got through the whole let's scout him and see what happens. Dribbling of 14, technique of 14, flair of 13. He is going to be a bit of an enigma. He's hopefully going to be alright adapting to the Premier League, but as I've mentioned many times before in this video so far, only time will tell. We've brought in another goalkeeper as well. Carlo Ziga has joined us from Chelsea on a free transfer. Very much a replacement for Alex Bass. Obviously, he's gone out on loan already. Potential to be a 4-star goalkeeper. He's a backup goalkeeper, so he knows his role within the squad. He will very much be the third choice goalkeeper. We are still looking for a number 1, I should mention that. Marcus Bettinelli obviously will take over from Alex McCarthy to start the season. We've got about 3 weeks left of the transfer window, so a goalkeeper is a number 1 priority. But this guy, very much an amiable backup, and he'll do all right, I think. Another player we picked up on the cheap is Mikhail Trafnic. He has joined us from Sparta Prague for a fee of £62,000. That was the compensation we had to play Prague to get him out of his contract at the end of it. Not sure why they commanded a fee, but never mind. 4-star midfield player, can play the centre midfield, can play the attacking midfield. We've got a lot of players like that this summer who are interchangeable between the two positions. And I really liked him. The scouting was pretty good on him. Will he be alright in the Premier League? I think he'll do alright. 29 years of age, capped for the Czechs for 8 caps. Was capped at under 21 quite a lot as well. 13 goals in 84 appearances, so he knows where the goal is if he gets in range. And yeah, another one that I think will probably work out. Now we start moving into the more established names that we've picked up, and we've picked up Joe Rhoden from Tottenham Hotspur for a fee rising to £6.25 million. Now, I like Joe Rhoden. Obviously, as a Spurs fan, I am looking forward to seeing what he can do during the coming season with us. Has the potential to be a 4-star defender, currently at 3-star, but he has got Premier League experience. Obviously, he played a couple of times with Tottenham in the Premier League. He spent the season before last on loan at West Ham. We tried to get him last summer. He went to Bournemouth last summer, so it's very much third time lucky for getting Joe Rhoden into the club, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Joe can do. Next man in the door was Lewis Morgan. He has joined us from Inter Miami for a fee rising to £5 million. 3-star midfield player, can play in the attacking positions right and left, but predominantly will probably play out on the left-hand side. Pace of 14, acceleration of 14, dribbling of 14. He's got a bit of flair about him at 12. Work rate, vision, technique. There are attributes there that scream out to you. And hopefully he's going to do the job. Now, I know you've all been wondering who Matt Penny was allowed to leave Brentford for. Well, Brian Mbeumo is the answer. For a fee of £12.5 million, including Matt Penny as well. A 3.5-star midfield player, has the potential to be a 4.5-star player. Can play on that right-hand side, so we'll be competing with Cole Palmer for that position, but can play up top, and he can play out on the left as well. So he's got a lot of variety in his game. Obviously, he was relegated with Brentford last season. I'm hoping the same fate will not happen to him this time, but time will tell. We have managed to convert one loan signing into a permanent transfer, and that is Neil Mopay. He has joined us from Brighton permanently for £6.75 million. We are still looking for another striker. He's the only one we have on the books at the moment. Obviously, Obviously, we know about Neil Mopay. He did very, very well last season for us in the Championship. Obviously, he came in the January window to help support us getting to where we are now. Will he keep us in the Premier League? I'm hopeful, because he showed class in the Championship, and he has played in the Premier League already with Brighton. Has a fairly decent record, 26 goals in 83 appearances. But yeah, fingers crossed. It's not going to be all on him, but it's certainly going to be a lot of it on him. Now we move on to potentially the signing of the summer. Kevin Strootman has joined us from Marseille on a free transfer. This is an absolute steal for us. Paying him 32 grand a week for a year. With his experience, that is going to be absolutely invaluable. Forget the physical attributes. He's 33. The mental attributes, the teamwork, leadership, determination, concentration, bravery, aggression, anticipation, they all pop out at you. 3.5-star midfield player obviously isn't going to improve, but his experience in football is going to be absolutely invaluable to us in our first season back in the Premier League. He could be the key to us staying here. And last, but by no means least, because he won't be the last one in, there are going to be a few more to come. Charlie Taylor has joined us from Burnley for a fee rising to £6.25 million. Obviously, we let Matt Penny go. We do have Harry Toffolo. We needed another left-back. Premier League experience was the key for me. Obviously, spent last season on loan at Newcastle. I'm not sure why. I think Charlie Taylor's a very, very good defender. Obviously, him and Toffolo competing with one another, that is going to be a very interesting battle to see who makes it in. The edge would go to Taylor, being that he's got the Premier League experience, but I'm hoping Toffolo will rise to the challenge. And when I said there was work to be done, there is still work to be done. So a goalkeeper is one of the big priorities for us. We are looking, and we have been looking all summer, for a number one goalkeeper. I think we're almost there with one, but the rug could be pulled out from underneath us at any time. We are still looking for a right back, although Kevin Dix and Matt Smith, if that's the two we end up with, so be it. Midfield, we are sorted. We've got plenty of options in centre midfield and the attacking and the wide positions. If a big player becomes available on loan, though, we might move to bring in another wide player. Obviously, Marcus Harness is still here. He will very much be a part of it. Callum O'Dowda, maybe not. I'm still in an R in what to do with Callum O'Dowda. A striker, again, is another thing we do need to look at. Obviously, Brian Bramo, they're saying, is the best striker we have at the football club. Hopefully that will change. Obviously, with 2 weeks to go in the window, players start to get a bit itchy in terms of, well, if I'm not in the first team squad, then I'm going to go. That's where we're looking to pounce, and that is the thing that we're trying to do. So I think we've got enough to get us through the first 3 or 4 games of the season, which is why I've sort of taken stock. Let's concentrate now on what we need, the key positions. A goalkeeper, right back if we can get one, striker, absolutely 100%. We need at least one more. So let's preview the Premier League season, shall we? So Liverpool, the current holders, are the favourites at 7-5. Manchester City are at 5-1. Manchester United 11-2. Chelsea and Tottenham both at 9-1. Arsenal at 20. Leicester at 33. With everybody else bar that, we are at 800-1 to win the Premier League title. It's not going to happen. The position that we are focused on the most right now in 17th place. And if you offered it to me now, I'd shake your hand, because that is going to be a very crucial thing. Obviously, we're down there in good company. Stoke were the other side that were promoted from the Championship last season. Crystal Palace are down there, they reckon. So are Cardiff, so are Newcastle, so are Aston Villa. Southampton are sort of above the line a little bit. So if we can drag one of the big boys in the Premier League, particularly Newcastle and Southampton, they should be doing better than 14th and 15th in the table. We can drag them into relegation trouble. More is the better. Currently, so far, the Premier League has spent £1.52 billion. I fully expect that to break the 2 billion barrier, which is absolutely bonkers. So here are our fixtures for our return to the Premier League, and we start with Norwich City at home on Monday Night Football. That will be the first game you see from this season. And we take on Leicester and Chelsea. We could have been dealt an easier start, I'll be brutally honest. Then we play Stoke, then we'll probably come back for Southampton. Obviously a South Coast derby between those two sides. Then we play Manchester City and Arsenal, a trip to the Etihad at the beginning of October. Then we get a little bit of a break before we come back for a massive Christmas period. Manchester United away, Tottenham at home, Liverpool away. Jesus Christ. And we end the year with Norwich away. Then we move on to the second half of the season, where we do have a very, very big dilemma at the end of it. We play Manchester United at home, we play Liverpool at home, we play Tottenham away on the final day of the season. I think it's fair to say, if we're going to survive in the Premier League this season, we need to have it done by the end of April. Otherwise it could be curtains. But this is why we are in the Premier League. We want to play the best teams. Alright, we could have done without them ganging up on us. Obviously, we've got Leicester and Chelsea together twice over. We've got Manchester City and Arsenal together twice over. And then the triple header with Manchester United, Liverpool and Tottenham around Christmas. And then at the back end of the season. Jesus wept. But I think we'll probably get a proper gauge of the side when we take on Stoke at the beginning of September, because that's when the transfer window will be shut and we will hopefully have done all the business we need to do. But we start with that game with Norwich next time around. Can we get off to a winning start back in the Premier League? There could have been harder opening day opposition, let's be frank about that. Norwich are potentially going to be in and around us, so it's a good chance to get 3 points on the board before the big game that starts coming down the track. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel but like to do so, please click that subscribe button down the corner. Don't forget, if you've got any comments to make on today's video, please leave them below. Also, don't forget, I'm a member of the Passion for FM team. The link to the website and Discord server are down in the description. I am also promoting the charity Mind. If you or someone you know is suffering with their mental health, there are links down in the description where hopefully you can find the support that you need. I will see you next time for the opening day of the Premier League season against Norwich City. Until then, thanks for watching. Goodbye.